Willie used to talk about this all the time, and he would say, you know what the problem is? All these religions, we all believe the same goddamn thing. And you know what the problem is? And when we start thinking that somehow ours is the right answer, if everyone would just stop believing that, I'd tell you, yeah, Jesus is going to come back, okay. This is going to happen to Muslims. Yeah, that's right. But you know what? In the bottom, we all believe the same thing. And as long as we know that, that's cool. We'll hang out. We're going to be fine. And he knew that that kind of interfaith kind of conversation was necessary. And so very early on in San Antonio, Willie was one of the beginning members of getting together Latino Jewish dialogue groups. A lot of other groups that hadn't taken place in the country, because he was secure enough in his own faith, but realized that we all kind of shared the same kinds of ideas, and that if we really lived them out, we'd probably create a better life for ourselves.
Very good. One more thought, question?
Mr. Velasquez seems to have an urban bent to his efforts. Was there any involvement with farmers and ranchers? Because one of the main issues in the Southwest, as you probably know,
sure,
is the divorcement of Hispanic farmers and ranchers from the land.
No, great question. And if anything, growing up where he did, and a lot of the work they did, if anything, some of the, particularly in the earlier years, but even moving forward, and Lydia can tell you more about kind of where Southwest Voter is today, there was a strategic move by Willie and Southwest Voter very early on to say, we need to reach out to the rural areas. Not just because those are places where it's even worse, stark contrast in terms of political power and political oppression, but you know what? We can win there. It's easier to win there than it is to win in LA, to win in Chicago, to win in some other places. So there was a strategic decision made very early on to say, we're going to put our resources in the rural areas. So Southwest Voter, really the foundation, I talked about that huge increase in the number of Latino elected officials and the number of Latino voters. That was really done on the foundation of the rural areas. And you think about it later down in history in terms of, say, the Christian Coalition, which got smart to the idea of working at the local level. Willie combined the rural strategy with a local strategy, both issues and working with local communities, that led to, and that's why I used to joke, he used to talk about all these races in these tiny little towns and these tiny counties, but that with the voting rights tools that they were able to use. One of the classic stories that I love that he used to talk about was a rural county in Texas called Medina County. And in Medina County, even though it sounds familiar, even though you're supposed to redistrict every 10 years based on the new Census Bureau figures, up till 1980, this tiny rural county in Texas, Medina County, hadn't redistricted since the 1890s. So it'd been a while. So Willie came in, and with their litigation arm, came in, challenged the system, challenged what they were going on, redrew the district lines because of the gerrymandering that was going on. Medina County redistricted for the first time in 1980, and of those 4 county commissioner seats, 2 Mexican Americans were elected for the first time. And that story became the domino effect that happened all across the Southwest in the rural areas. So the rural area played a huge, and continued to play a huge role, but was a big part of the success for Willie and Southwest Voter to show what you could do in places that were smaller numbers, but were harder environments, just because of the real kind of black and white, brown and white kind of contrast of what was going on with the political systems.
Very good. In the interest of time, we're going to have to move on because we have a couple of important panels coming up. I'm sure that some of the questions that you may have on your mind that you want to ask will lend themselves to those additional discussions. But let me just first of all thank you, the members of the audience, for your patience in getting us started here. One, you've accomplished our mission, at least as we envisioned it for the outset. I think you've helped us understand much better who Willie was, what he did that was important, and what as our next panelist will lead us to, is still relevant about the body of work that he put in place on our behalf and on behalf of the nation. I hope that you can agree with me that Juan's book is worthy reading. Those of you who can attend tonight at Georgetown University Law Center to purchase and receive signed copies of the book are welcome to attend. And what I'd like to propose now is that we give Juan a round of applause to thank him for his insights, his presence. Great job. And what I want to do is just preview what is yet to come more specifically. I am going to recommend that we take a very brief, perhaps 3-minute break, reassemble, and then we're going to put together a first important panel on the unfinished business of Hispanic empowerment, focusing especially on civil and voting rights. This is an opportunity for us to roll the clock forward, to build on the conversation that we've started here, and to put some of the lessons of Willie's long, hard work in current context relative to where the Latino community is and where it may be going. And let's just say that in about 3 minutes we'll reassemble here, and I will introduce that panel to you accordingly, and we'll continue the discussion. Thank you. Her responsibilities really cover the whole gamut of skill sets around communications and public information, a very important job for that organization. And Lisa has been a wonderful partner in working with us at Arte Publico Press and with our speakers and sponsors to help organize this event. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa with gratitude for her leadership, and she's now in your hands.
I think we'll do it, the panel from here. Thank you all very much again for being here today. This is an event that we are particularly proud and honored to be a part of. As Raul mentioned earlier, NCLR founded the Southwest Voter and helped the organization in its beginning. And Willie Velasquez was a former staff person of the National Council La Raza and someone we work with very, very closely. It was interesting when Raul was mentioning when Willie got sick. I was working on the Hill, and when he got sick and he passed on, it was an amazing reaction on the part of I was working at the time for a member of Congress who was a member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and the caucus members were just completely, we were stunned and completely devastated by Willie's passing, because if he was such a fixture, it was, every event that you went to in Washington, he was there. He was just, the work that he was doing was so important. He had such a life force. And I realize in retrospect, I didn't think of him as that young at the time. Now I think of him as extremely young. But he was, it is hard to imagine. Just imagine someone who's such a part of your daily work and your daily lives, and to be taken away. And we lost someone incredibly important, and we really lost a visionary. I think one of the things is his mind. He was thinking way ahead of the game of everybody else. I think he would have envisioned what was happening now. He knew it. He saw the numbers. He knew what the growth of the Hispanic community would experience in the years to come. I think he would be pleased by the interest, that the fact that the parties are now vying for the Latino vote would have been. Oh, I'm sorry. That the parties are now pushing and fighting for the Latino vote. I think he anticipated that. I think he would have welcomed that. I think he would have been thinking, beyond 2004. He knew that he would probably know that the Latino vote would have an impact in 2004, but where we're really talking about having the biggest impact is 2008 and 2012, and he would have been way ahead of us again in this game. And I think he also would have shared the frustration that Raul mentioned, that there was this incredible disconnect between our numbers and our clout and the amount that people know about us and the attention that we get. I think he would have also been frustrated by, even though he would have been pleased by the attention the Latino vote has gotten, he would have also been frustrated by the shallowness, that the emphasis on marketing and the emphasis on advertising and the emphasis on outreach versus substance, which he knew that would be the way to get to Latino voters, that he would have been, I think, distressed by this, as a lot of us are in the 2004 election. So this is what this panel's about, because I think at the very end he would have known that his work was far from being done. And even with all the work that he did and all the work that he would have done if he were still with us, he would know that his job would never be done until Latinos achieve the kind of clout and position and stature in American society that they warrant and they deserve. And that's what we'll be talking about in today's panel, with three people who are both themselves and represent organizations who are doing the heavy lifting of the work that Willie started all those many years ago. and on empowering the Latino community on the vote.